Hey guys, today we're taking a look at the new pack that just came out, Dragons of Legend. I wanted to go over this, but it took a little while for Dueling Network to update, and I had some other things going on. But now I'm going to go through all the new cards and just, quickly kind of go over them. Try to not make this too long, but just, give some thoughts early on and talk about the really cool cards that are being added. So first off, Legendary Knight Timaeus, just allowing itself to be special summoned through Legend of Heart. Kind of interesting that you can banish spells and traps when it gets summoned, which I guess isn't that interesting, but you can kind of blow away your opponent's back row, and you can also kind of get spells back from the graveyard, which is very, very nice after Timaeus gets attacked. So that could be interesting, but still not sure what I feel about this card. Kuribandit, just an interesting kind of excavation card. Can be very useful with decks that want to excavate things and want to get certain spells and traps. Can be very useful. Might be helpful in like Sylvans and things like that. Guardian Dreadscythe, obviously from the anime, can be a very powerful card. Mostly because you can keep resummoning it over and over and over again, which is very, very powerful. But obviously, there's a lot of graveyard management you have to do to work with the Guardians and do this. And then Carboneddon, just an interesting one that gains attack from fire monsters, but that's not really the big deal. More that you can special summon dragon monsters from your graveyard. So if you're running a deck that summons a lot of dragons, normal dragons that are under level 7, or under level 8 I mean, can be very interesting. Still not sure how I feel about that card, but I could see some weird decks that might make good use of it, like Heretics for example. And then we have Mathematician, really, really good card just because it allows you to send, whatever monster you want to the graveyard. It's like, it's like an Armageddon Knight for like level 4 and below, which is very powerful, allowing you to set up things for a lot of different decks. So this will be a very useful card. Ra's Disciple, basically just adding in blanket support for God cards, allowing you to, summon this guy out and bring out more Ra's Disciples. But the big thing is that normal summoning him, you'll have to stall. Or what you can do is special summon him and then swarm with him and then do it. So definitely some interesting things you could do with this, and obviously it's meant for the gods because it has limiting text on it to make it not be used by other cards, and it really limits your summoning ability. So it's really only for the gods. And then there's 3 new Blackwing tuners that are being added. So Hurricane can become the attack of a synchro monster, which is really crazy. Also obviously nice that we have more tuners to upgrade the synchro Blackwing monsters. Another level 1 Blackwing Oroshi, just allowing you to change battle positions for your opponent, which is kind of interesting. So you can set up big plays, especially with Blackwings that do piercing battle damage. So that can be interesting. And Steam the Cloak, just another interesting one to bring out tokens so you can do additional plays. So it can be interesting, but I think its more important effect is that you can special summon him from the graveyard, which is very, very powerful, obviously, because he's a tuner, so that gives you access to very nice plays. And then Assault Dog, another one of these cards that just allows you to keep special summoning things from the graveyard, kind of like Nimble Manga or Giant Germ, things like that. But he doesn't really have additional effects, just you can keep bringing him out. So it could be good for like 4-star XYZ plays and stuff like that. And then we have Lillybot, so I don't really know much to say about this card. It's just kind of a thing you can use when you're using like Orbital 7s and Photons. I don't really have much to say about it, just a weird card if you want to run that, but I don't know if many Photon decks are running Orbital 7 these days. Gate Blocker, just a card, obviously in 5Ds it's a good part of the anime, but it's really just a crazy defensive lockdown card. Your opponent can't place counters, their field spells don't work, your opponent can't use card effects that target another monster. So just a really good lockdown card. I'm kind of surprised it has 2000 defense on top of having like 3 lockdown effects, which is really, really nice. And will be interesting tech against certain decks. This will blow up any deck that relies on counters. It'll blow up any deck that relies on field spells. So that can be really interesting. And then these train cards that are being added. This one's just like a really high attacker that you can stall with 2400 attack. That's crazy for a 4-star. Obviously, when it attacks, it loses that huge attack, but still really good for stalling. And then this other train, 1800 attack. It's kind of like the Heroic Challenger card. It just boosts the XYZ monster's attack. So I can see trains, bringing out really powerful cards very easily, especially the fact that they already have high attack, so they can stall pretty easily. And then Construction Train Signal. This one just allows you to special summon itself and then make it the attack target, which is interesting because it can't be destroyed by battle when that happens. So just a stall card that can be really interesting. And then the hand archetype is just, you know, kind of being added. Obviously, there's already one of the XYZ hands, but now they're, I guess, somewhat of a full archetype because they have a bunch of cards. Ice hand, they're magic hand, fire hand, prominence hand. They're all just helping you, you know, punish your opponent and special summon. That's really, if you're interested in the archetype, that's pretty much what it's going to do. It's going to be a 4-star swarming archetype that punish your opponent, like a mix between like reactors and some type of 4-star swarming deck like Umbra Horrors, so definitely interesting. Then Eye of Timaeus, just allowing us to bring out fusion monsters with Dark Magician cards, which is very interesting. So we can bring out like a lot of the various Dark Magician fusions and obviously the new things that are being added in with Dark Magician Girl and Dark Magician. And then Legend of Heart. So I guess with the legendary dragons and the spell cards being added in, we're going to see more of these legendary cards where we can kind of bring out more legendary knight cards. So there's only one legendary knight card right now, Timaeus, so I'm hopefully they're going to add in more and this will become more interesting. Obviously it's a steep cost, but it allows you to you know, really swarm crazily, and it could do big plays. You know, I could see that later on when they added more stuff. And then Berserker Soul. So this card is really interesting. If you're doing if you're using monsters that have low attack normally, like Watts for example, or anything like they will be attacking directly, this will be really interesting. Allows you to just keep doing more and more damage, and you're excavating cards. So it depends on what type of deck you're using, but I can see, you know, big power in Watts or a deck that uses a lot of monsters that do, you know, low damage. So definitely interesting. And then the Soul Charge. This has been all over Dueling Network. People have been complaining about this. Very powerful card, allowing you to pay 1,000 life points per monster and summon a ton of monsters from the graveyard. Can't conduct your battle phase, but a lot of times that won't matter because you can summon so many monsters it sets up whatever you need. So very powerful card. Definitely interested to see what happens with this one. Definitely keep an eye on it for the ban list. Then Sabatiel, the Philosopher's Stone. Really don't know what to say about this card. Just kind of a search card with if you have Winged Kuriboh in your graveyard, and then you can kind of banish you banish 3 copies of it from the graveyard and gain attack during a battle. It's just a weird card, and I'm not really sure what the point of it is yet. And there's a couple of interesting like fusion cards being added. So Flash Fusion, just allowing you to fusion summon monsters, but you lose your fusion monster. Still can be very powerful. A lot of decks can make great use of something like this. They can use that fusion monster to do whatever they need to do, and then like XYZ with it or something. So I can still see that being very, very powerful. And then Battle Fusion, just allowing you to gain attack during a battle with fusion. So if you have a fusion monster deck, this could be very nice if you're worried about your opponent going over you. The only thing is, if you're running a fusion deck, I don't think you're worried as much about losing battles. You're worried more about card effects because your fusion monsters are supposed to be really strong. So I'm not sure. I guess it depends on the deck. And then Ayers Rock Sunrise, just a beast support card that allows you to really bring out those crazy beasts and have them gain big attacks. So I can see this being a very powerful card in a beast type deck. And then Mound of the Bound Creator, so a field card for God cards. Very interesting that they're adding more support for God cards. Just very, very crazy. I'm not sure if people are going to run this or not, but it's going to be nice if we're going to use this to protect our God cards. It's going to really limit the amount of support we're going to need to make God cards work. So I think I'll definitely try this, but I'm totally not sure how important it's going to be for those decks. And then we have Train Connection. So this one just this one's a weird one. You're banishing 2 really high level machines from your graveyard, and then the monster that gets equipped with this card can do huge damage and piercing battle damage. So I guess it can be really powerful in certain plays. I can see it being used for various OTKs, especially with cards like Power Bond and Limiter Removal and other kinds of things that go on with machines. So interesting card. I'm not sure what to say about it yet. And then there's 2 new rank up cards that are being added. Both of them I like a lot. Quick Cast, just because quick summoning an XYZ is awesome. Just that ability to quick play and XYZ summon is really cool. So that's definitely interesting. And then Admiration of the Thousands. So this one's just kind of interesting, allowing you to kind of rank up summon from the graveyard, which is really, really cool. Again, giving you access to a lot of additional plays. That's the one thing rank ups, can have trouble with, is after they lose their resources, what are they going to do? But with a card like this, you'll have a lot more plays that you'll be able to do. And then we have Rising Sun Slash. So just a Utopia equip card that can kind of support things. Can be very nice because it keeps Utopia from being destroyed by card effects, and then it allows it to gain attack when it's negating attacks, which is what Utopia does. So interesting card. Not sure if people are going to run it or not, just to have an equip card to support Utopia, but still could be interesting in decks that focus on him. And then Reaper Scythe Dreadscythe. So this is very powerful. So it gains 500 attack for each monster in the graveyards, plural. So obviously Guardians don't run much in terms of graveyard, but your opponent is going to have stuff in the graveyard, and how much attack is Dreadscythe going to have on top of the fact that he can summon himself? So I can definitely see Guardians having some fun stuff with a card like this. And then Guarded Treasure. So just another draw power card that has a very big cost that has to discard 5 cards. But it makes up for it in the fact that your draw phase becomes 2 cards. So if you have a deck that can get 5 cards quickly, and like hold on to your cards and then activate this for later and get benefits from discarding all those cards, I can see this being very, very powerful. So it depends on what kind of deck you have, and it depends if you can have the type of deck that can generate, hand later in the duel. So then Celestial Sword Eatos, the equip card for Eatos, just an interesting card that he gains attack, and the thing is, when it gets sent to the graveyard, you can have Eatos gain attack, so it's kind of a permanent attack boost if people get rid of it. But I'm not sure if people are going to really destroy it if Eatos is only getting a 500 attack boost. But obviously you can do it with other cards, and you can do some interesting things. So definitely interesting, and I can see some interesting combinations later on in the duel with a card like this. And then there's a bunch of crazy traps that are being activated in this pack. Relay Soul is a extremely risky card. So you could special summon whatever you want from your hand, but if that card leaves the field, your opponent wins. So I'm not sure about this card. I really don't know. It sounds really risky. Obviously the big thing is you won't be taking damage, but your opponent is going to have a way to destroy that card eventually. I guess, if you combine it with a card that won't be destroyed, or won't leave the field, I guess you can do some interesting stuff, but I'm not sure about that. Final Fusion, I'm kind of confused why they added this card to the game, because they took away, self-destruct button or whatever, just allowing you to have both players take a huge amount of damage when there's fusion battles. I don't really see this being run, because how many decks have fusion versus fusion? It'll be tech, but I don't really see it being a big deal. And then Double Passe, just kind of a weird stall card that kind of protects your monster, allowing you to do direct attacks next turn, which could be interesting for some decks. Like, maybe I'll run this in like Black Scorpions or something to activate those effects that I need. And then Shooting Star, just a Stardust support card to destroy something on the field, which can be useful. And then Blackwings are getting a couple traps. Black Sonic is really good. Whenever your opponent attacks Blackwings, you can just banish all your opponent's attack position face-up monsters, which is crazy. You can just, it's like their own really crazy Mirror Force Dimensional Prison combination. Very powerful. Definitely going to run this in my Blackwings. And obviously, it has that effect that if you have more Blackwings, you could just activate this, which is pretty interesting. And then Blackwing Revenge, just allowing you to bring out tokens, which is interesting if you want to do certain synchro plays with Blackwings. And then Shadow Impulse, definitely an interesting one, allowing you to kind of replace your synchro monster with another synchro monster that is the same level and type. So definitely interesting if you're running a deck like that that uses the same type of thing. And then Wiretap, I definitely like this card because you can just negate a trap without any cost. But I guess the bad thing is that your opponent's going to get it back. So if it's a really valuable trap card, they'll just keep being able to reuse it. But where it might go somewhere in the deck and you might never see it again. So I definitely like this as a counter trap, and I can see some uses for it. So for the extra deck stuff being added, obviously there's going to be those new fusions for Eye of Timaeus or whatever. So first off, Amulet Dragon. I'm not sure if I really think this is too good. Just allowing you to kind of gain attack bonuses from spell cards. What's nice is he kind of has a refund on him that if he gets destroyed, you can bring back a spellcaster, so you can continually do the plays you want to do, which is kind of interesting. I really like the Dragon Knight Dark Magician Girl, just because it's a 1-for-1 card that you can just, destroy things on the field, which I think can be very, very useful, especially with, how you'll be able to get this out. And then Parapsychroid, just another Roid card. This one just allowing you to fusion summon with whatever you have, which I think would be really nice for Roids, or for, other decks that might want to use this. I could see some big plays that you can do with, some of the crazy stuff machines have access to. And then number 73, Abyss Splash. So just a water XYZ that can allow itself to double its attack, which can be really nice in certain situations, obviously. And the upgraded, number C or whatever, just a really nice card, I think, can gain attack bonuses from battling, which is really interesting. And its bonus from having the other card is really good, that it won't be destroyed by card effects, so powerful monster that your opponent will have to deal with. And then another number C, Chaos Chimera Dragon. Just a really interesting card that's going to have attack based on the XYZ materials, and then it can kind of spend life points to refund those XYZ materials so it can keep activating its effective attack in a row. So just a kind of continual card that if you keep up can really annoy your opponent. And then number C106, Giant Red Hand. So just another hand card, and it gets supported by numbers, so just allowing you to negate effects, which is kind of what the hands do when it comes to the XYZs. So just dealing with effects, which can be interesting, but I'm not sure if people are going to really be too excited about it. So those are all the cards in Dragons of Legend. I'm excited about a lot of them. There's a lot of different things I want to try out. I definitely want to try a hand deck. I want to try a Guardian deck. I want to try using a lot of these spell and trap support, because I think a lot of them can be very helpful. But I definitely want to know what you guys think about these cards. Are there any cards you guys are very excited about? Maybe some things you want to run in your decks. I see a lot of opportunity here for a lot of different decks, so definitely want to see what you guys think. But, that's about it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.